Hello, my name is Blade Bookwas. Alright, you know what? Let's just leave that as PewDiePie's thing. I don't know if that's gonna work for the channel here. Yeah, editor, just go ahead and edit that part out. That'd be great. Thanks. Hello, I'm Blade Bookwas. This is gonna be a guide on how to get unlimited contribution. I know you're thinking unlimited power, right? Well, unlimited contribution first, unlimited power after that. And it's not really unlimited contribution, it's just unlimited cooking. So you can cook as long as you want until you're happy with your contribution. There it is. So the nice thing about this, that I'll teach you here in a second, is that you can actually continuously buy the materials that you need off of the market faster than you're able to cook them. Now, on each server, as it launches and things like that, there might be a slight variation, but your own node system and your own processing and how you deal with it will allow you to cook virtually continuously. It's pretty fantastic. So I started doing this in 2016, never ended up making it into a guide. I talked about it on my live stream a lot, and tens of thousands of players in the last year and a half of me talking about this have just changed everything about the way that they grind their contribution. It's a really good way to go. I ended up putting it in Bum to Billionaire, so some of you guys might have seen it over there, but it's never been in guide format before, and then just became the way to do this. But whenever, well, BDO is going to be launching an Xbox pretty soon, there's gonna be a lot of new players, so I want you guys to have this exact method just in case you're not aware. So let's dive right into this. Now, when people think of getting a lot of contribution, what they typically want to do is cook, and they often think of cooking beer. Maybe if you don't have a 1-second cook time, you're thinking of doing daily quests, things like that. Well, if we just take this stroll up this moonlight path in the rain, we will find a secret wagon. Now, don't be deceived. The name might be not a wagon, but it is. And if we open this wagon, we will find the recipe to make essence of liquor, the way I suggest that you earn your contribution. Alright, so let's get to cooking. So I like to cook in Heidel. I've got 6-4 as my residence here, as the cooking side of BoQuest Industries. Good deal. Now, if you end up cooking in Glish, you're going to lose a little bit of time off of your cooking channels. It's not very much. If you use an advanced cooking utensil, you can typically finish it in about 20 minutes and 45 seconds in Heidel. Versus in Glish, if you're cooking, you can probably finish that in about 20 minutes and like 15 seconds. So you're saving about a minute and a half an hour, which is not bad. You know, it's really not bad. But again, you guys already saw my how to power level farming and how to get your min-max T9 mats guide. So you can see why I'm farming over here where I am. And that allows me to manage my farms as I cook. I really prefer this particular residence, but you guys can figure out what house works best for you. So as we get this recipe going, let me explain why this is the miracle food in terms of contribution. So if you're cooking beer, you're going to take 5 potatoes or 5 wheat, barley, all of that stuff, all the grains. It takes 5 of those, and you can make 1 batch of beer, right? Now, the contributions that you get, or the contribution turn-ins and all of these byproducts, are not based off of the item that you're making. You could either make Margoria Special, or you could be making vinegar. It doesn't matter. They're all gonna give you the same exact proc rate. So really, when it comes to grinding contribution through cooking, the thing that matters is the number of times that you can cook. So that being said, if you use 5 potatoes and you are able to make beer once, your opportunity cost is missing out on cooking on average 11.5 additional times. Here's why. So instead of using whole potatoes, you actually grind it into flour overnight. So you just do AFK processing, just get your stuff set up here, get your stack of potatoes or whatever it is, and just start processing. This stuff is so lightweight, as you can see. They're 0.1 LT. You can come back 10-12 hours later with a reasonable amount of carry weight on your character, and you can have 12,000 of this. So it's one of the easiest things to do just in long AFK sessions. This really works. Typically will even outlast fishing. So you do this overnight for a few times to start getting your empire built up, and once you put a few days into this in the beginning, you could pretty much continue this indefinitely. So you take 1 potato, and as you process it, you can make anywhere from 1 to 4 flours. On average, with a good processing level and, you know, high professional artisan, things like that, you're going to be getting, on average, 2.5 flours per potato. So if you take 10 potatoes, you can cook beer twice, or you're going to take 10 potatoes, turn them into flour. You can then cook essence of liquor 25 times. So you can see how much better this ends up being in terms of just the volume of times cooking. Another interesting thing is, because you're cooking so many times more, making essence of liquor instead of making beer, you get enough turn-ins that you'll actually end up with about 50% of the beer that you would have had if you actually just made beer straight up. So you can cook, 25 times versus 2 times, and you end up with half as much beer as you would have had if you just made straight beer. But since we're going for contribution turn-ins, this is the big way to do it. Now, the bottleneck here is nothing. People think it's fruit, but it's not fruit. So let me go over a couple quick things. We obviously know that there is a grape node up here that you can get. So you can get your grapes, and that's fine. But what happens when you run out of those? You may not know there's a strawberry node over here, and high quality strawberries. So you can pick that up if you want. But this is the actual way to go. In Calpheon, there is a fruit vendor. That's right, a vendor that sells fruit. It's pretty exceptional. And it's in this building right here, but you don't have to memorize where that is. All you have to do is at the top of your screen on the NPC tracker, type in fruit, and you can see the couple locations. There's a few of these things in the game. So let's do that right here. Type in fruit. And you got a Calpheon fruit vendor, and you have a fruit vendor near Grana. So these sell apples for 1,000. But more specifically and importantly, they sell strawberries, and they sell strawberries for 700 silver each. You can buy them in unlimited quantity. So I will occasionally, if I'm going to do a big cooking session, I'll go over and I'll get, 400,000 or 500,000 strawberries, and then I'll come back and we'll just throw that in the bank, and I'll deal with that for however long I'm working on that, which works great. And as you already know, essence of liquor, or not essence of liquor, the leavening agents can be purchased in unlimited quantity as well, right from your standard inn. So, in Heidel, it's this guy right here in this building. And those are only 20 silver each. So the only thing you have to deal with is getting more flour. Well, as long as you have your standard node set up of, you got potatoes, you've got 2 corn here, you've got a northern wheat plantation where you can get wheat and you can get barley. South of Heidel, you're going to end up being able to get more wheat and more wheat there. And even over here, this is an unknown one, you can get sweet potatoes, which can do the exact same thing. So those are the grains that you can end up getting. Let's go ahead and see if we can repeat these workers here. There we go. Hopefully nothing goes terribly wrong with repeat all this time. And that's pretty much how it works, you guys. So that's what you're going to want to do. You want to just grind any of the grains overnight, get a big stockpile, make your essence of liquor. With essence of liquor, you can end up turning this into honey wine if you prefer. You can turn that into exotic wine. So let me go over a couple of the quick things here. You can also just straight up sell your essence of liquor on the market. What I tend to do is just ignore it forever because I really don't care. But if you want to get your money back, you can go ahead and put that on the market as it is. You can turn it into exotic herbal wine, so that's a very easy recipe as well. And then you can take your exotic herbal wine, turn that into fruit wine. You can sell that then for a pretty solid profit straight on the market. So you've got a continuous just cycle here that you can always get your silver out of this situation, which is really nice. When I started doing this at the end of 2016, there actually was not an easy way to get your silver out of it. So it was pretty much a sunk cost, and I was happy with that. So we already know the essence of liquor recipe, but if you forget it for some reason, you can actually just type it into your crafting notes in the game. 1 flour, any kind of flour will do. Well, any kind of the grain flours that go into beer will do. A fruit, doesn't have to be apple, so strawberries we know to buy in unlimited quantity, and then we got the leavening agents right there. So those 3 recipes work really well. They actually end up being pretty profitable. I'm not sure what the silver per hour ends up being exactly, but it will be reasonable. It will be reasonable as long as you have the 1 second cook time. So let's see, to get a 1 second cook time, which we don't have at the moment, let's fix that real quick. There we go. If you're in the middle of cooking and you lose your buffs, you can actually drag it over to a hotkey and just click on it that way, and that way you don't have to stop cooking and you don't have to restart everything. So you're going to want to have Verter Drafts. So Verter Drafts are things you can make with alchemy, or you can buy them. But either way, this knocks 1 second off of your cook time. Next thing you're going to want is either a teff sandwich or a seafood cron meal. So teff sandwich here knocks the half second off of it. All right, every time I cook, it changes that window. So there we go. Yeah, so this is going to knock another half second off. Again, seafood cron will knock 0.6 seconds off, so take your pick on which one you need. Verter Drafts we already talked about. The big things that you're going to really need to make this work, though, would be a pearl costume. So the canopy clothes, this is going to take 2 seconds off. Interesting thing, though, whenever you're buying this, so if you go into outfit and costume, you can actually choose not to get the whole classic set. You can get, let's see, get the costume set. Don't get the classic set. This will save you 700 pearls. So this works just fine without using the knife and shield. I got the knife and shield by accident, but I'm not complaining too much. I like that blade. It's kind of cool. So that's how you get that. So that's going to knock 2 seconds off. The other thing you're going to have to get is a +3 costume here. Now you could use... you could basically miss one of these buffs if you use advanced cooking utensils. I prefer to just go with the basic utensils, because what this does is I can set up the whole house in, less than 10 minutes, have quite a bit of things to cook. Whenever you use all of them, you just hit retrieve all at the bottom of the screen right here, and I'll vendor the rest of these and I'll buy them again for 1,000 silver. So it's a very simple way to go, and that way you don't have to gather logs and things like that. If you're gathering logs on your own for Caphras stones and things like that, it's fine, but if you really want to just min-max, focus on your contribution, your cooking, this is an alternative way to go. Alright, and then lastly, if you don't have something like a sharp alchemy stone of life, that's fine. You can go over to the market here. You can go into alchemy stone, spirit stone. You want to pick up this right here. So this life spirit stone will knock 1.1 second off of your cook time, rather than having the 1.4 second off with the sharp stone. So that's, you can get close to a 1 second cook time if you don't have the really high-end stuff. My personal recommendation is just wait until you have the 1 second cook time to really go after cooking hardcore. So do your rifts, do whatever you need to get your silver originally before you have your gear if you're a rather new player. Get the things you have to get a 1 second cook time, and then hit it hard. Get your 400 contribution, get your 350, get your 250, get whatever level that you want. The nice thing about this is that you can basically just keep on cooking, right? So keep an eye on the market as you're doing this. So you go to the market, check out your materials, you look for seeds and fruits. You buy flour as you do this, you buy wheat and potatoes as you do this, you buy corn. So that way you just keep it as a continuous self-sustaining system. Cooking has always just been bottlenecked behind any kind of resources, so this should allow you to get those gains without having to worry about that. Last thing I want to mention to you guys is that there is a cool container you can get for your residence that actually ties your house to your bank. So all you have to do is go to any kind of the major city storage guys and rent a container. It costs 10 contribution. You can place it in your house just like any other item, and it makes cooking a lot easier. Alrighty, we're gonna change gears just a little bit here. So yeah, that was your how to power level contribution guide through Essence of Liquor. I made this guide September of 2018. It is now almost June 2019, so I actually forgot about this guide, and we're gonna add a little bit to it here, and then we're gonna upload that to the channel. So if I'm in a different guild with different trophies and different gear, just try not to panic. Don't panic. I know it's only been a second for you, literally from Tri-Ogre to Pen Layton, but you guys have all seen the wagon reveal by now, so you know how that goes. So one other cool thing, if you are actually making Essence of Liquor into exotic herbal wine, wheat dough counts as one, but there are actually hidden properties in the other doughs that they don't tell you about. So you can actually take something like potato dough, for example, and it counts as 2 dough, where wheat dough would only count as 1. So if you want to go ahead and just take your essence of liquor into exotic herbal wine and then further into fruit wine, that is a good way to do it. But nowadays that we have the central market, we don't have the bottlenecks that we had before. So previously, you basically had to find a way to acquire resources, and you would always run out of resources. You just cook through them. Now that we have the central market, it's a little bit of a different scenario. So you guys could cook some of the bigger recipes and things like that. But overall, if you guys do just want a pretty good self-sustaining recipe, essence of liquor is used in many of the upward recipes as well. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this on the channel. Hopefully you guys do find some solid benefit, and if you guys have additional cooking questions, just go ahead and find me live. I'm gonna link in the description a couple different videos that I think are pretty relevant for everybody. One would be the farming guide. So I have my farms typically by Heidel, as I'm power leveling farming, as I'm going for, you know, all that good stuff, getting extra weeds for alchemy. And if you guys haven't seen the power leveling farming guide, it's a pretty solid one to take a look at. The next one would be how to get 2,000 energy in a day. So this is one of my older guides, but basically based off of what your character action is doing at the 3-minute mark for when you get an energy tick, that determines how much energy you get. So there's actually a way to actively play, put your character into a pearl shot bed for just a couple seconds before that energy tick, have it all timed out, and then what you can do there is get 60 energy in an hour while still actively playing. So alright guys, pretty simple guide. Hope this helps you get as much contribution as you need, and I'll see you guys on the live stream. Thanks.